will be the very first time that Mike Pence has told his story leading up to and on January 6th under oath. First, Mike Pence, or a member of his staff, was the secret source for Bob Woodward and Robert Costa's book, Peril. According to the Woodward and Costa book, on the night of January 5th, the night before the insurrection at the Capitol, Donald Trump told Mike Pence that the vice president could and should reject the Electoral College vote the next day. "That is all I want you to do, Mike," Trump said. "Let the House decide the election." "What do you think, Mike?" Trump asked. Pence returned to his mantra. He did not have the authority to do anything other than count the electoral votes. "Well, what if these people say you do?" Trump asked, gesturing beyond the White House to the crowds outside. Raucous cheering and blasting bullhorns could be heard through the Oval Office windows. "If these people say you had the power, wouldn't you want to?" Trump asked. "I wouldn't want any one person to have that authority," Pence said. "But wouldn't it be almost be cool to have that power?" Trump asked. "No," Pence said. "Look, I've read this, and I don't see a way to do it. We've exhausted every option. I've done everything I could and then some to find a way around this. It's simply not possible. My interpretation is no." "I've met with all of these people," Pence said. "They're all on the same page. I personally believe these are the limits to what I can do. So if you have a strategy for the 6th, it really shouldn't involve me because I'm just there to open the envelopes. You should be talking to the House and Senate. Your team should be talking to them about what kind of evidence they're going to present." "No, no, no," Trump shouted. "You don't understand, Mike. You can do this. I don't want to be your friend anymore if you don't do this. You're not going to be sworn in on the 20th. There is not a scenario in which you can be sworn in on the 20th, Pence said. "We need to figure out how to deal with it, how we want to handle it, how we want to talk about it." Trump's voice grew louder. "You are weak. You lack courage. You've betrayed us. I made you. You were nothing," Trump said. "Your career is over if you do this." Pence did not budge. President Trump called Pence around 10 a.m. on January 6th. As Pence met with Mark Short and Greg Jacob, Pence excused himself to take the call upstairs alone. "I'm heading to the Capitol soon," Pence told Trump. "I told you I'd sleep on it. I'd take a look with my team. I'll hear any objections and evidence, but when I go to the Capitol, I'll do my job." "Mike, this is not right," Trump said, calling from the Oval Office. "Mike, you can do this. I'm counting on you to do it. If you don't do it, I picked the wrong man 4 years ago. You're going to wimp out," Trump said. His anger was visible to others in the Oval Office, including his daughter, Ivanka. The next time Mike Pence told his story, it was for money in his book titled So Help Me God. Here is Mike Pence's book account of that phone call from Donald Trump on the morning of January 6th. And this account heavily overlaps with, including some quoted lines, with Bob Woodward and Robert Costa's account. The Pence book says, "When the phone rang a little after 11 a.m., it was the president. I picked up the phone and the White House operator, always pleasant and professional, greeted me with a friendly tone and said, 'Please hold for the president.' That was when the friendly part of the call ended. When Trump asked where I was on the upcoming session, I replied firmly, 'Despite the press release you issued last night, I have always been forthright with you, Mr. President,' adding, 'I do not believe I possess the power to decide which electoral votes to count. That resides with the elected representatives of the American people.' When he began to object, I said, 'As I have told you, I don't have the authority. I would be issuing a statement to Congress confirming that before the joint session started.' With that, the president laid into me. I was unmoved. 'You'll go down as a wimp,' he predicted, adding, 'If you do that, I made a big mistake 5 years ago.' But when he said, 'You're not protecting our country, you're supposed to support and defend our country,' I calmly reminded him we both took an oath to support and defend the Constitution. With exasperation in his voice, he said, "You're listening to the wrong people," to which I replied, "I'm listening to my heart and mind." With that, the call ended. Did Donald Trump commit a crime or crimes during that phone call? That will be a question for a special grand jury to decide after Mike Pence testifies under oath to that grand jury in a room that he will have to enter alone, without his attorneys, where he will be guided through the story of all of his interactions with Donald Trump leading up to and on January 6th by the questions of the special prosecutor. After that phone call, Donald Trump said this.
I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so. I hope so. Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election. All he has to do, this is from the number one, or certainly one of the top constitutional lawyers in our country. He has the absolute right to do it. We're supposed to protect our country, support our Constitution, and protect our Constitution. States want to revote. The states got defrauded. They were given false information. They voted on it. Now they want to recertify. They want it back. All Vice President Pence has to do is send it back to the states to recertify. And we become president, and you are the happiest people. And I just spoke to Mike. I said, Mike, that doesn't take courage. What takes courage is to do nothing. That takes courage. And then we're stuck with a president who lost the election by a lot, and we have to live with that for 4 more years. We're just not going to let that happen.
Leading off our discussion tonight is Neil Katyal, former acting U.S.